Hello everyone! So I was in a Polyship mood today, and so I have another part of the KuguInuShiba story, because these three are quickly becoming my darlings. So I hope you will enjoy. I have to apologize in case the video is a bit quieter than you are used to. My microphone is just doing some stupid stuff and I don't know why. As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons. You are keeping this channel going. The letters were already moving in front of Kuguri's eyes when he finally decided to take a break. He leaned back in the chair, a soft groan leaving his mouth when his back protested against the movement. Rubbing his eyes did little to nothing to chase away the tiredness from them, and the long yawn he tried to stifle was a dead giveaway it was time to put off the remaining work for the next day. The thought made him feel guilty, despite the fact his job allowed him to do just that, without many repercussions, unless the deadlines were approaching. But his boyfriends were working hard all the time, and he didn't have time to slack off. That was the least he could do to repay them for their kindness when he couldn't do it properly through words or affection. Sighing, he closed his eyes and let his head fall on the table, barely avoiding hitting his laptop. He wished he could do so much more to show Yuki and So how much they meant to him. That just being able to share his life with them had been the biggest blessing he had ever received. But something inside of him always stopped him before he could say those words out loud or go for a hug. No matter how much love his heart held, or how much he wished to be the one reaching out to hold his partner's hands, he always ran away like the biggest coward, unable to get even a single word through his closed throat. It was infuriating and worrisome. Who knows how long they will want to wait. He clenched the hem of his t-shirt in his hands, shaking his head in despair to chase away the words he had heard so many times before, words that left him empty and his heart bleeding through the cracks they opened. It was different now. Both Yuki and So made it clear they understood. They weren't like that. He clung to that hope as if it was a lifebuoy keeping him afloat in the ocean of doubts. It's fine. They would tell me if they had enough. Yuki definitely would. It's fine. A light touch on his shoulder startled him. His breath hitched as he sprang up, looking around in confusion before his brain recalled where he was. Shibayama frowned a bit, laying his hand against Kuguri's cheek. Sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. I just don't want you to hurt your back. Kuguri sighed, but instinctively leaned into the touch. It's not like I need it anymore anyway. No. I know. I shouldn't be saying that. He felt Shibayama hesitate for a second before he was wrapped in a sort of hug, Shibayama's hair tickling on his skin when he laid his head on his shoulder. I'll always think that each and every one of those people were stupid they didn't offer you a pro contract. It's their loss. But that's how the sport is sometimes. I know it sounds bad coming from me, I'm sorry about that. I just want you to know you have so many other talents, it really doesn't matter what you do as long as you enjoy it. Does that make sense? It sounded better in my head. A small smile curled Kuguri's lips up. He hesitated before he collected enough courage to lay his hand on Shibayama's forearm, giving it a light squeeze. So you don't mind I'm the only one without a proper job? You have a proper job. My dad always says that any work that makes you honest living is a good job. Besides, how could we not be proud of you for what you do? His face brightened when he motioned to their bookshelf, where one of the books was set on full display. You put your heart into that one and people noticed. That's why it was so successful. He snuggled closer, making Kuguri's heart skip a beat. But even if it wasn't, the fact that you wrote a whole book and published it is incredible. So don't say you don't have a proper job just because you aren't in the office or playing as pro, okay? The voice got caught in Kuguri's throat. He pressed his lips together to try to conceal the surge of emotions crashing into him after Shibayama's words, his grip subconsciously tightening. Thanks. It means a lot to me. So much. For nothing. But you should take a break now. You look exhausted. I know. I'll leave the rest for tomorrow. He glanced a bit back at his boyfriend, for the first time realizing Shibayama was dressed to go out. Practice? Yeah. They called us in for an extra one instead of tomorrow. Oh. Shibayama's face scrunched a bit, making him look even more adorable to Kuguri's eyes. Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't know until like an hour ago and I didn't want to distract you from work. Kuguri's shoulders slumped a bit before he could catch himself. He would lie if he said he wasn't disappointed to hear that. He hoped they could have a relaxed afternoon before Inuoka's return would mark the start of their usual evening routine. But he had no right to say anything about it or interfere with Shibayama's training program. When are you coming back? Not sure, but probably before So gets home. A light kiss landed on Kuguri's temple. I'll make it up to you, I promise. You are doing that every day. You both do. There's nothing to make up for. It's fine. Be careful. This time, the kiss landed on his lips, the short, yet so sweet touch sending his heartbeat skyrocketing. I will. Don't overwork yourself, okay? Take a break for today. Kuguri nodded, more on instinct than anything, but it seemed to be enough to make the little worried creases around Shibayama's eyes disappear, which was the important part. He followed Shibayama with his gaze until he disappeared in the hallway, the sound of the main door closing piercing his ears soon after and putting an invisible barrier between him and his partner. You are doing so much for me all the time. What am I doing for you? He hugged his middle, painfully aware that once again, it wasn't him who initiated affection. Like the coward he was. How long are they going to be content like this? He kicked his tired mind into work again, trying to figure out what to do. He stared at the pieces of chicken in front of him with a slight frown on his face, deep down wishing they could just cook themselves if he glared at them long enough. Of course, that was just wishful thinking. If he wanted to get the meals done, he had to do it himself. Which was the reason why he started preparing dinner for them in the first place. He started practicing cooking in secret about 2 weeks ago, hoping he could show appreciation that way, since both of his boyfriends often came home tired and hungry, and he was at home most of the time anyway. They could come to a prepared meal. They wouldn't have to worry about cooking if he was the one doing it. However, he didn't expect he would be so bad at it. He managed to conceal his kitchen endeavors from his boyfriend so far, always able to air the flat and throw the messed up food away in time before they came home. But this time, he was dedicated to make it work. It was fried chicken and rice, Inuoka's favorite. He just had to fry the chicken, the rest was on the rice cooker. What could go wrong? Come on, if you don't start soon, Yuki will be home before it's done. He checked the recipe again and turned on the heat under the pan with oil before moving to tend to the rice cooker. It was a completely new piece Inuoka brought not even a week ago from his visit to his parents, along with a message that his mom was worried about their eating habits. It was a sweet sentiment, even though both Shibayama and Inuoka were pretty good cooks. And as always, Kuguri was the one lagging behind. He shook his head and turned his attention to the machine, carefully pushing it over the counter to get it to the outlet without breaking it in the process. Alright, so just plug it in and then fill up. However, the moment the plug touched the outlet, sparks flew all around with sharp cracking. He yelped when the electricity kicked his hand and jumped back, only to see the oil in the pan flare up in tall, bright red flames. His heart jumped into his throat, but his limbs refused to cooperate when he told them to move. He just stood there frozen in place as the fire alarm went off, the deafening screeching piercing his ears and brain. Crap. What now, what now, what now? Finally able to move, he turned off the stove and carefully pushed the pan off the flame, but the fire didn't seem to settle. He coughed when he accidentally breathed in the smoke, his already fast breathing shortening even more. Damn it, damn it, damn it. What are you doing? Kuguri flinched, hearing the sharp snap of Shibayama's voice even over the fire alarm. Move away, quickly! He pushed Kuguri aside, grabbed one of their baking sheets and put it over the flame, waving his head above the pan to dissolve the smoke while coughing. Thank goodness we could go home earlier. What was that? That was supposed to be dinner. Shared kitchen for dinner. Great. Didn't we tell you not to cook anything when neither of us is here? Kuguri hung his head, trying not to look at the mess he made. Of course Yuki was annoyed. What else did he expect? There was a reason he kept his previous mishaps a secret. Sorry, I wanted to help. I'll clean it up. Give me a bit. Now, you go sit down. I'll do it. I can already see you spilling the oil on yourself. Unable to form any words for a while, Kuguri bit hard on his lip, keeping his eyes anywhere but Shibayama as he backed away from the kitchen, grabbing his phone along the way. Then I'll go get you something else to eat. I'll be right back. Wait, no! He rushed out of the door and down the stairs, his hands a bit shaky when he got out on the street. His fingers still tingled a bit, shaking much more than on his other hand, but he didn't have time or mind to be bothered by that. He had to get his boyfriend something to eat since he messed up so badly. That was his priority. Shibayama's words kept repeating in his head, along with the much worse unsaid ones that stayed in between the lines. For now, that is. You really have to screw up everything, don't you? Sport, dinner, relationship. He pressed his mouth shut to silence the desperate whimper threatening to escape, and instinctively reached for his phone, dialing a familiar number. It didn't even take 3 beeps for the call to go through. Hey Kuguri, is everything alright? Kuguri let out a shuddered breath, hearing the voice of his former senpai settling down at least some of the panic swirling in his chest. I messed up again. Shh. Breathe, okay? What happened? I tried to make dinner, but I almost set the kitchen on fire and Yuki is mad now. I don't think Shibayama can even get mad, especially at you. Kuguri sighed and slumped on a nearby bench, curling more into himself. He sounded annoyed. I'm sure he was just worried. I sure would be if Yuji or Ryu set something on fire. Are you alright? Physically, I mean. Yes, I'm fine. He paused, a sudden realization downing on him like a pile of bricks. I'm so sorry, Dasha-san. I didn't even ask if I'm not bothering. A light chuckle came from the other end. No worries. I'm not doing anything important right now. And even if I was, I would always make time for my kohai when he's distressed. You are too nice. Just what you deserve. But going back to why you called, I'm sure he didn't mean to sound annoyed. He just saw fire and you with a potential injury. I mean, I don't know him as well as you do, but I doubt he would be mad about one mishap in kitchen. Kuguri desperately wanted to believe that. Still, hearing it from someone else, someone he trusted, calmed him down a smidge. Not enough to chase away the dark thoughts, but at least his own lungs weren't suffocating him anymore. Thank you. Anytime. That's what senpais are for, right? His voice softened. I'm sure we will get through this without any issue. It's going to be fine. I hope so. I don't... No! Kuguri startled when the excited voice sounded behind him, but the sight of Inuoka's blinding smile dispersed any fear he might have felt. Hey. I'm sorry, Daisho-san. I know. Go after your puppy boyfriend. And don't worry about anything, okay? It will be fine. Kuguri nodded, even though he knew Daisho couldn't see it, and ended the call, just a second before he was engulfed in a warm hug. I didn't expect to run into you here. I thought you were at home. He had to notice Kuguri freezing and paused, pulling away a bit with worry settling on his brow. Did something happen? You are shaking. I went out to get you dinner because I burned it. You were cooking? Kuguri looked away, unable to face Inuoka after that. Yet he didn't fight it when Inuoka pulled him back into his arms. Sorry, that came out wrong. I'm just surprised you would cook for us. And how it ended. I'm sure it's not that bad. Is Yuki at home? Yes, he put out the fire. He bit the inside of his cheek. I think he's annoyed with me. Inuoka tilted his head, really reminding Kuguri of a dog, before he smiled again, bright as always. Nah, Yuki can't get mad at you. Come on, let's get you home. I'll protect you against his wrath in case he gets snippy. But the food... Okay, let's stop for some takeout and then we go home, After a moment of hesitation, Kuguri nodded and accepted the offered hand, shivering slightly when Inuoka entwined their fingers together. Despite having Inuoka next to him, holding his hand, he still stopped in front of the threshold of their door to take a deep breath before stepping in. He clutched the bag with the takeout in his other hand, the only thing keeping him from bolting away being Inuoka's reassuring smile. Yuki, we are home! Before Kuguri even managed to take off his shoes, fast footsteps echoed through the hallway. Oh, thank goodness. He staggered when Shibayama threw himself around his neck, completely baffled by the sudden welcome. Yuki? Why didn't you tell me you got hit by electricity? Inuoka visibly froze. You what? It wasn't that bad. That doesn't matter. Even low voltage can be dangerous. What if it did something to you? He squeezed Kuguri tighter. I only saw that burned outlet after you left. I was so worried. I'm sorry. Are you still mad at me? Shibayama paused before raising his eyes to him. Is that why you left so abruptly? Kuguri stayed quiet, but it was apparently enough for Shibayama to understand. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I wasn't mad at you, ever. I guess I was panicking more than anything when I saw the fire. But I wasn't mad at you. I could never. He cupped Kuguri's face, the soft touch on his skin making Kuguri's heart melt. Can you forgive me? Nodding, Kuguri looked away briefly before handing Shibayama the bag with food. We brought dinner for you. You mean for us? You are here too. What? Don't you dare to finish that thought. Kuguri wanted to protest further, but the second pair of arms wrapping around him stopped him mid-breath. You really think we would let you starve yourself? Not gonna happen, love. Yeah, so you better prepare 3 plates. And no arguing. Knowing he had no chance against the two of them, Kuguri gave up, a small smile curling his lips. Alright, understood. Good. I hope you took some rice for me. That rice cooker is toasted. My rice cooker. Yeah, your rice cooker that almost killed our boyfriend and burned our kitchen down. Isn't that a bit too dramatic? You never know. He stopped and reached his hand to Kuguri, making a grabby gesture. Come on, let's eat something. Together. That no one had to tell him twice. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Also, can we agree that Kuguri has Daisho on quick dial? Yeah? Okay, great.